$205,000 to $869,000. That's the active price range in Morgan's Point Resort. If you're considering this area, check 3 things before you trust the price. And one of them changes what lake home actually means. I'm Taylor Dasch with EG Realty. Today we're going to get into everything that Morgan's Point has to offer, who should buy here, who shouldn't buy here, and then 3 things to watch out for if you're relocating to Temple, Belton, and you're considering Morgan's Point. So Morgan's Point is its own incorporated city right on Lake Belton. As of July 30th, there's 13 active listings. The median price is $330,000. So that's not to say that you have to be at $330,000 to get into Morgan's Point. Morgan's Point is a unique little market because there's such a wide variety of houses. You got the size, the location, the proximity to the lake, lake right, condition, and a lot of other factors that come into play. So I'm going to show you how I would compare the house, what I would price other than the list price, and then what I would verify around the lake. Question isn't whether Morgan's Point is cheap or expensive. It's what the house compares to, what it needs, and what you actually own. All right, let's get into it. All right, so Morgan's Point, you have a wide variety of properties. Active listings are currently between 1,000 square feet all the way up to 2,800 square feet, with age ranges from 1960 all the way up to 2026. So there's a huge variety. This is the original Morgan's Point section, so you can find homes here from the 1960s. And these are going to be in that lower price point of the MLS sales comp. If you buy a property here, you're going to likely have a larger lot. You know, you have mature trees. They're not too close together, which is something that I see a lot of buyers complaining about with the new construction homes. It's important to compare the homes to other homes that would appeal to the same exact buyer. So somebody looking for a new construction home is not going to be looking at a 1960s build. So you're not going to compare that with 1960s builds, even though it's on the same street, same neighborhood. So you compare what would appeal to the same buyer, the age, the condition, the size, and then that's how you come up with a good market value for the property. So you don't take the lowest active or the highest active or use the townwide median. You judge similar homes, preferably close sales, and then adjust them based off of the condition. The last 12 months for Morgan's Point, 40 homes closed in a year. That's about 3 per month in the whole city. So when the right house shows up, you don't get 3 do-overs. Median close price is $252,000. So if you remember, the median active is $330,000. Completely different homes, different mix, and that gap is exactly why you don't price off what sellers are asking. Price right homes went in about 2 months. The mispriced ones, one sat for 583 days. My point in this is that you comp the house and not the town. Whenever you're thinking about purchasing a property here, is that there are not many restrictions. So it's not uncommon to see a 2026 new build and then 1 block down, see a manufactured home or see a home with a bunch of items out in the front, a trailer out in the front. There's no restrictions. Nobody's going to tell you anything. So if you don't want to see that stuff, it's important to go drive around the streets that you're actually looking at and then see if you're comfortable with it. And then I always recommend driving, at 3 different times of the day, whenever you're out the most, and then at nighttime to make sure that you feel comfortable. But I will like this street that I'm on currently. Everything is very well maintained. You got brick homes. They're well kept. The neighborhood looks really nice. A lot of mature trees, but just 1 street down, you got a trailer out in the front. You got items all over the place, high grass. So it's important to keep that in mind whenever you're looking in Morgan's Point. All right, here is number 2. And this is where the list price stops helping. You have to take into account, why is the list price what the list price is? You have to start worrying about the roof, the HVAC. A lot of homes in Morgan's Point have septic systems. And so that's a whole nother inspection. That's whenever you really want to do your due diligence. Make sure all of the big systems are checked out in the inspection. That way you don't get hit with an unexpected high cost repair after you just bought a house. If you get a really good price, there may be something with the property, but I want you to be informed of what's going on with the property prior to buying it. I always say you get your insurance quotes during the option period, so that way you have a really good idea of what the price is going to be. If you're going to have if you have anything that may be at the end of its lifetime in the house, that way you're not hit with an unexpected bill. And here's number 3. A view isn't lake access and it isn't private ownership. Out of the 26 listings in the MLS, active and sold, there was not a single one that had lake access. And then to top it all off, the Corps of Engineers master plan says that private shoreline use is not allowed, and it specifically mentions floating docks. So you can't have that either. So that's something that most people, it may look like you have the shoreline rights, you have private access, but that is not the case in Morgan's Point on Lake Belton. So if a listing shows this beautiful lake here, you're gonna get a really good view, but you can't have the boat dock. You're not gonna have private shoreline access. And that's just what comes with living in Morgan's Point. All right, so this is what most people skip. So no private dock. So how do you actually keep a boat in the water? The city runs its own marina, 148 slips across 5 boathouses with fuel and security. But there is typically a wait. Average is about 2 years depending on the slip size. So if lake life is the whole reason that you're moving here, get on that list early, like right when you go under contract. All right, so at the top of the price range in Rancho del Lago at $869,000, you have a 2026 build. There's another one at $665,000, 2019 build. The rest in the original Morgan's Point date back all the way to 1966. So these are not substitutes. They're marketing to a completely different buyer in the same small city. All right, so let's get into the pros and cons of Morgan's Point Resort. So we're gonna start off with the pros. For me, I love to see the deer walking around. They're so cute. I like that they're there. You know, it's a good addition to the vibe. The second pro is the lake. You're very close proximity to Lake Belton. You have, some of them have lake views, no access, but you're on the lake. If you like to fish, there's boat access everywhere in Morgan's Point. Everything that has to do with the lake is close. And then the third pro is that you can really get in, if you are about the lake lifestyle, you can get into something really close to the lake for a good price, under $300,000, which you're not going to find that in other markets. Now for the cons, my biggest con is that, all right, so we're in a really nice pocket of Morgan's Point Resort. You have Carruthers luxury build. You've got a higher price point. There's a lot of nice things about this neighborhood, but in the older Morgan's Point area, there's places where you don't have that many restrictions. So it's not uncommon to see, you know, a trailer out in front of the house, a stack of like manufactured homes that are right next to a brand new build. There's very little restriction. So if I was living in Morgan's Point, I would not want to see that every day. Con number 2 is that while you're close to the lake, you are further from everything else in the Temple Belton area. And then con number 3 is that you can't, if you have a house on the lake, you're not going to have a private shoreline ownership, and you're not able to have a private floating dock because of the rules. So I personally, if I bought a lake house, I would want to be able to at least have the ability to put those there. That's the pros and cons. Now, if you're buying here, my biggest things are going to be, if you're in the older part of Morgan's Point, you have to get a good inspection, a thorough inspection, so you don't get blindsided by something. If you are buying in the newer section, you want to make sure that with this amount of money, you're getting a good deal. Like, these homes are $700,000 plus in this neighborhood. You're getting a larger lot. There's a lot of good things, but $700,000, you can get a really good property in the Temple Belton area. Morgan's Point, I personally think these homes are good deals, but you want to make sure for you, it's checking all of the boxes. Check it out. One last pro is that there are almost 0 HOAs in Morgan's Point. So that's, if you don't like HOAs, Morgan's Point could be a good option for you. All of the MLS data has Morgan's Point as Belton ISD. So if you are looking for a home in Belton ISD, Morgan's Point does have options for you. So if you want new construction or tighter community restrictions, Morgan's Point may not be the right place for you. Here's what I'll do. If you are relocating to the Temple Belton area, reach out to me. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, you can schedule an appointment with me down below. I will get you set up with all of the information that you need to know about all 3 different cities. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let's get it. All right, so I don't know if you can see, but there's a bunch of deer behind me. It's one of my favorite things with Morgan's Point. There's deer everywhere.